What's up, guys? It's Dan here from CoinCrunch, and welcome to another edition of Gems of the Week, where I share a few exciting and somewhat under the radar projects which have a lot of potential. The structure of the video is pretty simple. I'm going to recap a few of the projects from last week. I'm going to talk about the main gems this week, and at the end, tease two bonus stealth projects that are very under the radar and very exciting, but very early on. So if you like these type of ICO gem videos, make sure to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, because these videos are often the first time that anyone on YouTube or any channel or crypto Twitter or whatever is even talking about the project. So you can be the first to know about them here on CoinCrunch. And also for the bonus stealth projects that are revealed at the end, you can find those on our website at coincrunch.io/gems. And I'll also put that link in the description. Also want to remind everyone a couple things. That first, obviously this is not financial advice. It couldn't even be financial advice because you can't buy these things. It's so early on that I'm just revealing the names and a little bit about the project. And number two, on that note, to the teams and the projects themselves, these are stuff that we sort of picked out of like long lists of potential ICO gems or just projects we've reviewed that we liked for one reason or another. And so it's not really a subjective evaluation by any means. It's just a very cursory glance and just pointing out a few things that make the project exciting. So we're not trying to review these or really put our stamp of approval. It's just my very quick opinion based on a few things that I've seen so far. So with that said, let's dive into this week's ICO gems. So again, as I said, these are sort of upcoming under the radar projects. And if something isn't under the radar and you already know about it, please don't write in the comments like, oh my God, this is not a gem. I understand that not all of these are completely hidden to everybody in the community, but for the vast majority of people that are looking for good ICOs, these will be sort of reveals for them. So not everybody has 24 hours in a day to sit there hunting through Chinese white papers to find the best next project. That said, also, like last week, I sort of included some that were not that under the radar, but they did have sort of like new-ish developments or something that made them more exciting, and I think that is worth pointing out as well. With that said, let's dive into the selection criteria. So as I mentioned, these are very quick analyses. I don't even know if I'd call them analyses. It's just sort of like a discussion of the different projects. And I want to point out the things that people tend to cue in on that cause projects to generate high returns. And right now, those tend to be low cap infrastructure projects, usually out of China or Korea. But with that aside, let's assume that they're not all going to be great, brand new infrastructure projects. The thing that people look at first is the team, obviously. And then one thing that we really like to look at on CoinCrunch specifically is the tech and the vision. And the question is, that you should ask yourself with any project is, does this need to be on the blockchain? And the third one is that it must have that X factor. So an X factor could be really anything. It could be a really badass developer. It could be an amazing advisor or investor. It could be some sort of use case or something that no one else has had, or it could just be that there's like a level of hype. It's in that sweet spot where it's sort of undiscovered. Anything can really be the X factor, but it has to have something that really stands out to make it worth being on this list relative to all the other ICO projects that are coming out right now. Let's quickly recap some things going on in the market right now. One I wanted to point out is DAO Now, DAO was one that was pushed really hard by a lot of pools, both on the private market and sort of private pre-sale. And CoinCrunch, we were obviously offered this, like a lot of other groups. People wanted us to promote it, wanted us to invest in it. And Sia, with his very discerning sort of no BS attitude towards a lot of projects, quickly found out that this one was not a great project in our eyes. Maybe in other people's eyes, but in CoinCrunch's eyes, this was not a great project at all. It had recycled technology, and there were a few red flags. So we passed. And this one hit the exchanges and has done very poorly. So that may be a testament to the quality of the project, or it may be a testament to the type of investors that it had and the bonuses they got. Nevertheless, whether it's a combination of the two or one of those things, it looks like it was the right pass on our part. Harmony, since revealing on one of the Gems videos a few weeks ago, has really blown up. A lot of people have asked me if I have allocation, if I'm going to invest in it, can I share some with them? I don't know. I just really like the project, guys. I think it has awesome technology. Check out the Harmony review video that I put out. I spent a lot of time on it. It was one of the more interesting white papers that I've read in a while. So I encourage you guys to watch that. But this is one that, depending on the token metrics and the bonuses and all that and the distribution, I anticipate it to be one of the dominant projects and blockchains, if not in 2018, at least in Q3 or Q4. Quark Chain, the amazing project that everybody could not get into, did a quick 10x out of the gate that went up to, I think, 16 to 20x, which is insane because they don't even have a test net yet. But it's a testament to the quality of the project and how well the ICO was run. However, the team funds for Quark Chain were supposed to be locked up, and one member of the community found out that all the team funds, roughly all the team funds, had been transferred to Binance. So they were not locked up. And funny enough, CZ picked up on this and he tweeted that. So despite CZ, despite his company listing the project, he was basically calling them out publicly. So that was pretty interesting. Anchor Network, this is an interesting one. This is one that I revealed. And since that, it sounds like most of the private sale dealings for this one have been passed to developers, have been passed to people in San Francisco, and they're not cozying up to influencers or the crowd very nicely. That's not to say that's how we've dealt with them. That's just what I've heard. And the bonuses they've given early supports to the project were very, very high, as far as I can tell. So that might be one you want to stay away from. I think you need to do a little bit more research. We need to do a little bit more research before coming to a final decision on Anchor, but it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. They've got a new website, which looks pretty sharp, so that's always good to see. Tenzorum, after I published the video and called it the sort of the gem of that week, has really picked up a lot of steam. Torque VC published a blog post about it and has started promoting the project, suggesting that they have a very large allocation. Not sure about that, just assuming. And yeah, it looks like this one is really going to take off. So look out for big things from Tenzorum over the next few weeks. So that said, let's look at the actual gems last week. Omega One, this one is a project that was going to be launched a while ago, but postponed their ICO due to regulatory concerns. We don't know anything else about that. Origo Network, this one still has a pretty basic and crappy website. It's sort of that like standard Chinese, potentially Chinese project, unpolished website that eventually becomes redesigned, sort of like Anchor. And but what we do know is that the same guy who marketed Aeon, who marketed Icon, who marketed WanChain, WePower, and Quark Chain, among others, is heading the marketing for Origo. So a lot of people in the space that are very well respected do not like this guy. I'm not gonna call him out, but nevertheless, it's a bullish signal. And if you want to try to get into Origo, chances are it's going to be shilled hard by a few channels. These channels are connected with that particular marketing guy. So look out for Origo pools, look out for shilling. It's on the way. Deep Cloud AI, they shared that video that I posted, even though it wasn't all positive. But nevertheless, this one's picking up a little bit of steam. As I mentioned, I would still caution everybody to do your own research because I think this one's unpolished. Bolt had, after revealing it, it just blew up. Everybody sort of FOMO'd in very, very hard. And they removed the sort of Zilliqa co-founder as an advisor. So it looks like he may be a shadow advisor. But with its low cap and being the first ICO on Zilliqa, I still anticipate this one to do very well, even though it's just a dApp. The bonuses last week were this cryptocurrency called Sneak, which is one of the first privacy coins coming out as a DAG, and it's just completely community based. Their initial funding was all donation based, and it's still picking up steam. So that's one to watch. Get in their Discord channel, share some ideas, check it out. It's a fun little project. And the other one that a few people had trouble finding was Issuance. You can just go to issuance.com, and this is an interesting one. It's basically partnered with Polymath. It's some kind of like AI data thing, and they're going to be connecting. It's a reverse ICO sort of model. They're taking a company that has a large pool of investors and they're connecting them with potential projects. So that one is one that has been developed a little bit. They've polished up their website, and I expect announcements to be made very soon regarding Issuance. So now let's move on to this week's gems. First is Emotiq. Second is Toda Network. Third is Beyond. Fourth is ioeX. And then, of course, at the end, I revealed the 2 bonus stealth gems as well. So now let's jump into these one at a time. So the first one is Emotiq. We can see here that they say they are a scalable, private, and natural next generation blockchain. And that natural bit is the kicker. It's what separates Emotiq from other blockchains which are claiming to just be scalable and private. So that's the key feature here. They are basically going to be using a natural language way to code and allow for the execution of smart contracts. So my understanding is that it's going to make them a lot easier for the average non-programmer. As you can see here, we have programmers using some kind of programming language, and then they have this special Ring virtual machine, which allows it to be communicated simply to and for non-programmers. If you have a smart contract and you're trying to figure out what it does, if you just look at the code, average person is going to have no idea what the contract actually does. So that's where Emotiq comes in. They basically say, okay, this is what it's doing. This is what happens when you run this smart contract. So that obviously is, would be a very, very useful thing to have, not only for, the average crypto investor, but also to gain widespread adoption of crypto so people can understand smart contracts and how they work. And the team, there was nobody on the team that sort of like really stands out as somebody very recognizable in the crypto space. But I think a few things that are interesting. Joel, their CEO, is a sort of well-known blockchain pioneer. He's been in the space for a bit. And I also like the fact that he and others on the team are sort of self-described hackers. So they've got this hacker ethos as well. And they will also be, in my guess, opening to the Russian market. Vladimir has a very sort of long history in the Russian fintech space. And they will also be opening to the Chinese market because their community manager here, they have a Chinese community manager. So they're checking, they're going to be global. They're going to be covering a lot of geographic areas, which is cool. And another thing that caught my attention about this one, about Emotiq this week, was that they were mentioned in the Harmony white paper. And Harmony, as we know, is run by an extremely talented team and is positioning itself amongst the best chains right now. So to see them put Emotiq amongst those other chains like Hashgraph and Dfinity and Cadena and whatnot, that suggests that they're playing in the same ballpark, which is really cool. Also, I believe that they recently lowered their hard cap from 60 million down to 39 million. So right there, that's very good news for ICO investors because we know that lower cap projects tend to perform better across the board. So I'm really excited about Emotiq and I'd like to hear more about it. And CoinCrunch will be speaking with Joel at some point next week to learn more about the project. Next up is Toda Network. So let's take a look at the Toda website. Now, Toda will be a protocol and it looks like it will be its own blockchain as well. And there are some unique features about Toda which cause it to stand out in my eyes. First and foremost, it will be completely secure. You will have confidential transactions. And they claim this new approach to scalability using a type of Merkle tree or chain of nodes. They're calling it a Toda tree and they're using something called proof of distributed work, a newer consensus mechanism. So as we can see, there's a few different key features here, and the benefits are quick confirmation of finality. It scales to the number of transactions per second proportional to the number of users in the system. So as more nodes come online, then it can scale proportionally. So if Toda was running on a lot of devices, it could, in theory, scale to whatever degree you want. And it can run, here's the cool part, it can run on pretty much any type of communication device, like a TV, a smart fridge, your smartphone, obviously, tablets and whatnot, but like any appliance that is able to communicate and connect to the internet, that could be running a Toda network node. And as I said, it offers true privacy and the ability to comply with data ownership, which is very important right now in the context of what's going on with GDPR. And it allows for a two-way trust-free atomic swaps between any two blockchains, which is also a key feature. So some cool stuff here: security, efficiency, confidentiality, and scalability all together, all of the things that you really want in a blockchain. And as far as the executive team, the founders, Tufi Saliba and Dan Tolliver, the names didn't really stand out. They definitely have strong background experience, and as do the rest of the team, but the sort of honorary founding members are what really catch the eye. So Lila Treketov was the chief executive at the Wikimedia Foundation and a executive board member of Rackspace, two huge companies. Todd was the vice chairman of Intel Security and co-president of McAfee Security. And then the last two, Silvio and Sergey, are Silvio's the founder of Algorand, which, as we know, is one of the projects that, as I mentioned, Harmony will be competing against. They have their own approach to consensus and scalability. He's a professor at MIT, obviously very well respected and well-renowned guy. And then Sergey, also a PhD from MIT, very sort of talented engineer. He's also working on Algorand. So very strong sort of group of honorary founding members. And that to me suggests that the project will be a very serious attempt at creating this blockchain that has those features. So this one I think is very exciting starting now, and I anticipate to pick up steam. So keep an eye out for things like the token sale, the metrics, and all that good stuff. Number 3 is Beyond Protocol, and the website for this one is beyond.link. This is an interesting project. It was very under the radar until about a week ago. There were like 50 people in the Telegram channel when I joined, and then after sharing it with people in the CoinCrunch community, there are probably close to 1,000, maybe a lot more now as word has spread. And it's interesting for a few reasons. So if we look on their website, there's not much to go off of here. They do have a slide deck, which you can find linked to in their Telegram channel. And I suggest watching this sort of like short overview video. The CEO is sort of like a young serial entrepreneur who started and sold various companies. And he worked in the printing industry, trying to allow for printers to be more efficient and allow for printer repair and sort of like printer systems at schools and large companies to be handled better. As we know, we can all sort of like picture printer not working, it's getting jammed. There's this like comical sort of office space image that we have in our head. And still these days, printers just don't seem to work that well. I think they've gotten a little bit fancier, but they still kind of suck. So they had envisioned using the blockchain as a way to solve this. And they saw this as an opportunity to not just go after printers, but any IoT device. So that is what Beyond is doing. They're trying to create this protocol that allows for IoT devices anywhere, anytime to be more efficient, to connect with different blockchains, and essentially to be fixed when they break, because we know that will inevitably happen. One of the things that stood out about Beyond is that they have the former CSO of IBM's blockchain division. He had worked at IBM for 30 years. I'm not sure if that was entirely on blockchain related stuff, but he is like a very huge name in the space, and he brings a lot of talent and experience. As far as the sale, I believe the sale right now is by invitation only. So that means that only private influencers, private investors are getting invited to participate, which is unfortunate, but hopefully at some point in the future, they will do some sort of public sale. Even if they don't, I encourage everybody to join the Telegram, because the CEO, Jonathan, does these really cool video updates where he actually shares 10, 15 minutes about what's going on with the project. And that is really awesome. That level of transparency is not something I've really seen from any other project. I'm really bullish on Beyond, even without knowing anything about the sale. I think the project looks really cool. And from what I've heard from some of the people that do have access to the sale, is that they have very high hopes for the project as well. So keep an eye on Beyond. And number 4, last on the list this week, is ioeX. Now, ioeX is another project that is going to be focusing on IoT. It's going to be allowing for more intuitive communication between different devices connected to the network. So you can imagine a self-driving car could be connected to a blockchain, which could be connected to a house. And the data that's passing between these needs to be very, very efficient and very, very fast. And that is sort of what ioeX is aiming to do. It's a very cursory explanation, but that is essentially the focus of this project. It's IoT. It's allowing for better data transfer between peer-to-peer nodes and better storage as well. So this one's still fairly early, despite the fact that the Telegram is growing fairly quickly, and they have a very strong team. As you can see, they've all got their ioeX shirts on. So it's a very serious project. And I think the big announcement here is that Rong Chen, the founder of Elastos, just joined them as an advisor, which is very big news. The rest of the advisors have very strong experience as well, but seeing Rong Chen join and knowing that they'll have the backing of him and Elastos is very good news. So that is the X factor for ioeX. This is one that I would definitely like to join and participate in. And they do have this whitelist registration. So you can go now and join the whitelist. So I encourage everyone to do that. Now on to the bonuses. I have some really exciting bonus stealth projects this week. It was really fun looking for these, and I'm excited to share these with you guys now. As a reminder, you can find the actual names of the project on our website at coincrunch.io/gems. That's where we have the gems for this week, as well as the gems from the last 2 weeks, so you can see what I picked last week in case you missed it. The first one I'm calling Emotiq. Again, this is a code name, and this one I like a lot. It has similar advisors and team, some overlap with advisors and team from one of my favorite projects in crypto, and one of the first projects that I reviewed on the channel. And that project that I had reviewed earlier had one of the most elegant and simple yet necessary token functions of any project I've seen. And it looks like this one, Emotiq, also has a very smart but simple token function. It will be a protocol that allows for the sharing and trading of compute resources. So if you have latent compute resources that you want to use and monetize, you can do that. And it'll be done in a completely anonymous way using ZK snarks out of the gate. No word yet if they will allow for ZK starks later on, but they'll start with snarks. And it looks like they have a very, again, unique incentive structure for all participants in the network, including the miners. So it will be a mineable coin. So this one I'm very excited about. You have the team in A. The investors are top notch. I'll give them an A+. The tech and the vision, There's a lot of projects trying this, but it's definitely something that needs to happen. And the status and hype on this one right now is very low. And no word yet on the ICO, but I expect it to happen very soon. So keep an eye on Emotiq. The second bonus this week is called Emerald. And I have to be honest, I had a different bonus project picked out, but someone in the community, in the CoinCrunch community, just passed this to me a couple hours ago, and I really, really like it. It has a partner or investor from one of the projects I've reviewed on the channel that is related to finance. It's a very popular project, and they are an investor, they are a partner, and it's what they're doing is they're going to be a lending platform and marketplace for decentralized derivative trading, and they have a stacked team. They have people from Goldman Sachs, people from Morgan Stanley, other huge banks. They have developers from Google. They've got pretty much everything you could imagine in a blockchain project. They've got a very stacked team, and it's a solution that needs to happen. The fact that they're creating this derivatives and lending marketplace with the team they have is just a sign that more of sort of traditional finance money is moving into the crypto space, which is also very, very good. They've also got people that are sort of connected to the Polymath team as well. So a lot of really strong connections and partners. No word yet on the actual ICO date. They just released a white paper on the website, so make sure when you check out the site by going to the gems page on our site, head over there, find the white paper, read through it. It's pretty simple. Get a sense of what they're building. Depending on the token metrics and the bonuses and all that, this is one that I would love to participate in because it's got that sort of finance feel, and it's got all the right partners and team lined up to make it work. So that is it. Let's quickly recap this week's gems. Number 1 was Emotiq. Number 2 is Toda Network. 3 is Beyond. And 4 is ioeX. And then the 2 bonus projects are codenames Emotiq and Emerald. And if I had to pick one this week, I'll be honest, I could not pick one. It would be too difficult. These are all great projects. I would say of the 4, probably the 2 that I have the most likelihood of actually participating in based on the status right now are Toda and ioeX. So those 2 would be great. And then of the bonus projects, it's hard to say because they're so early, but both of those I would also like to participate in as well, but it's tough to say. So that's just my opinion. I really like all of these projects, and I hope you enjoyed this quick review and this quick roundup of the ICO gems. If you liked it, make sure to hit subscribe. Make sure to like the video because the support really helps. It really helps us grow so we can find more cool under the radar projects for you guys. Thanks for watching.